measuring UX flows performance. There is a way now to really gather data from a lot of UX data points that are happening across the different multi-screen apps that the video services have available nowadays, and try to get a sense of which are the different flows and the different paths that are working better and which are the paths that are not, and really go deeper, understand what is happening. And then what it's really interesting is to make changes in the user experience on the fly, and then have the possibility later on to track the performance of the changes that you have done and see if these have improved your business or not. This sounds like, of course, very interesting, but what it's really important is to make these things really easy to do, and in a way that really is effective and really can be done in an agile way. So I'm trying to figuring out how to do these things with the Accedo One data-driven video powered by Jam. So essentially, we will go, there's a lot of different things that you can look at in data-driven video, but we are gonna just focus on these use cases. So if we go to the UX performance specifically, we can see here there is a different path to first free content or complete registration, complete acquisition, start playback across your portfolio of video service devices you have out there. So we can very easy to analyze which are the devices that are working better and which ones have any, you can identify any business blocker. So in this case, for example, path to start playback, we are seeing that the PC Mac is not performing very well because it's taking more time than the average to really reach the first playback in its user session. So you can go deeper and you can click on this path, and then you can take a look about what is happening here, right? When you take a look to the flow, you can easily understand that there is a lot of people that is dropping off on the content description page. Okay, so there's something that we should be we should do here. Like, for example, in this case, skip for all our service or specific sections of our service in the PC app, the content description part. So we can do this very easy. If we go to our app, for example, we can see that we have these highlights. And if you have Interstellar movie and you want to watch this movie, first when you click, you have this description page, right? So what we want to do is to skip this step and make things happen in terms of start playback directly. So what you can do directly from the Jump Accedo One platform is to make an impact and connect directly through Accedo One to this page, to this configuration CMS, where what we can do is to change in real time what is happening on your app. So we go in, and then we go to this specific section, and then we can go to this highlight. If we look for Interstellar, then we can say, okay, let's play directly the trailer instead, or the movie, instead of going through the content detail page. And then I can republish the app. And then if I refresh, and I go directly, once it's refreshed, to this movie. Okay, I need to look for it. Okay, Interstellar can start playback directly, right? So that's something that took us some seconds, and it's really interesting because now what we can do is, okay, we have done this change, because we identified this blocker, we can come back sometime after this and then look for the effectiveness of this change. So I can say, okay, what happens with this change I did on this date? And suddenly I can see that there is a reduction in 10 seconds in the time or the start playback time compared with the previous UX layout. So that's the kind of things that we want to do with the data-driven video. This is a first case. A second one is we really identify that there is a direct relationship about the performance of your service and how you position your catalog within the application, right? So in this case, what we want to do is which are the genres and which are the content types that are performing better in the different sections of the app. And then again, if it's not performing as we expect, make some changes in the Accedo One CMS, then track the performance later on. So as simple as going to content performance and content performance versus UX, we are going to be capable of really track how the different genres are performing in the different sections of the app. So I can go to one specific genre. For example, again, I can take a look at thriller. Thriller in the originals section is not performing as is below average. So again, I can take a look first of my app and the original section. Definitely, when we look at it, there is not a lot of thriller movies here, right? So what we can do directly is to click here to make a change in the original section. Again, we can make an impact through the Accedo One platform. And in this case, what we want to do in this section is to include more thriller highlights, right? So if I look for a thriller carousel, I can include one carousel here. I can put it even, I can organize the order. Then I can publish. Here we publish. And as soon as it is republished, I can come back here, refresh. And then I have included more content here on the original page and doing a dynamic UX changes. So again, as soon as I do this action, the platform is going to track the effectiveness of this change. So in this case, it's this campaign, and sometime after this change, I can track the number of plays for movies on Thriller Grid on the web has increased. So this is the second use case, how to position better your catalog using data-driven approach. Third one, managing churn. We've been discussing a lot of previously in the webinar about churn, but that's the reality is that 3 years in a row, the churn rates are still the same in the SBOT industry. So now, using new techniques, advanced analytics, machine learning, there is a way to really make a prediction using a lot of user activity within the app to understand if people are in risk or not. So here the case is predict your churn rate, score your audience risk, identify, and this is probably the most important, which are the main influencers for people to live, and last but not least, of course, make any action so you can impact your user behavior and then reduce churn. So again, if you go to the platform, to the section, to the cancellation section, we can definitely understand your past churn rate. That's easy. It's the past. We know what can happen. We also can make a prediction about what is gonna look like your churn rate. So depending on the different actions you do, we can score your entire audience so you can understand how many people you have in top risk, in high risk, in low risk, okay? And what is more important, which are the main influencers for people to live. So in this case, these are UX events. So things like average playback time or cumulative playback time or proportions of active days are relevant for people to live. But even you can go deeper and make an analysis of each main influencer and understand which are the thresholds for your audience to be classified in any of these groups. So for example, in this case, you know that people that have an average playback time below 10 minutes are typically people that are going to be at risk. And the good thing is that you can do all of this automatically. And again, you can select these guys and you can make an action. In this case, marketing actions through any of third parties, MailChimp or push notifications, or even export the data to other platforms to really make an impact. So this is a churn, and I'm not gonna do the action actually because it's fully related with the next one. That is doing data-driven activities. That is at the end what really can make direct impact on customer behavior. So again, if we back to the platform and we look, for example, of our clustering tool, you can understand things that, for example, people that are sleeping users, at the same time they are series driven in consumption, and then they are thriller addicts. For example, you can click on these guys and you can make an action through any of these third-party marketing tools. In this case, we're gonna do this through MailChimp. So we select MailChimp, we can select the campaign that we want to launch a direct action, in this case, sleeping thriller series addicts. So we can send the campaign for people to be impacted. Of course, you can ask yourselves, okay, what about the visuals? How can I create the messaging for reaching these guys? In the tool that you want to use, in this case, MailChimp, you can create your campaign, your creativity. What we will do is we will communicate through an API directly through MailChimp, and then we will impact people. So if we look at my email, in this case, the process is complete, so the campaign has been sent, and then as you can see, I have this messaging for me to be reactivated as a sleeping user. So that's the power. And as you can see, and if you do these things actually at your company, you can understand that it takes a lot of time to really, for marketing guys to retrieve data, filter data, segment data, do quality of data, and then send it out to the outbound marketing team, and then send it out to the audience. So you can do all of this at once now with our solution. And the last one, last but not least, of course, recommendations are really important. Most of the things you need for doing recommendations are also UX event. And also it's really important to put context when you make recommendations. So the approach that we have for our recommendation technology is really to take into consideration not just which are the content or the movies or series that you typically watch, but also what day of the week you are and what time is it, so we can really tailor a lot the recommendations that we are providing to you at every single moment when you are trying to watch content. So
we select user number 4, day of the week Saturday, and time of the day evening. We also tick on display recent in order to see the recent content this user has watched. Pressing the recommended content button, we get content that this user has recently watched. So we see that this user likes science fiction and romantic comedy. We see that specifically on Saturdays, he or she has usually watched romance and science fiction movies. We also see what content the user has watched in the evenings at the given time, and we notice that the user has never watched any romantic title on evenings at this time. So, based on his or her user playback history and content similarity, analyzing metadata image recognition and natural language processing to create semantic relationships using content synopsis and subtitles, the proposed recommendations for this user on this Saturday evening and for this device are these 14 science fiction and action titles, ordered according to the Deep Recommender Content Similarity Scoring Matrix. In all, Jump Deep Recommender can help your audience easily connect with the content they love, taking their different consumption habits into account, depending on the device they use, when they use it, and what content they like at any given time. Take personalized entertainment to the next level. Discover the power of data-driven video.